Chapter 2, Progression of Spirits, the Spirit's Book. To understand the beginnings of the third revelation, one should read the first book codified by Allan Kardec. I have written elsewhere about how Allan Kardec created his books. In this entry, I am merely reprinting his series of questions of the progress of spirits. The section is in Book 2 and begins at question 114. Progression of Spirits. Question 114. Are spirits good or bad by nature, or are they the same spirits made better through their own efforts? And the answer, the same spirits made better through their own efforts. In growing better, they pass from a lower to a higher order. Question 115. Are some spirits created good and others created bad? And the answer, God has created all spirits in a state of simplicity and ignorance, that is to say, without knowledge. He has given to each of them a mission, with a view to enlighten them and to make them gradually arrive at perfection through the knowledge of the truth, and thus to bring them nearer and nearer to Himself. This perfection is, for them, the condition of eternal and unalloyed happiness. Spirits acquire knowledge by passing through the trials imposed on them by God. Some of them accept these trials with submission and arrive more quickly at the aim of their destiny. Others undergo them with complaining, and thus remain, through their own fault, at a distance from the perfection and the felicity promised to them. Follow-up question. According to this statement, it would appear that spirits, at their origin, are like children, ignorant and without experience, but acquiring little by little the knowledge which they lack by passing through the different phases of human life. And the answer, yes, the comparison is correct. The child, if rebellious, remains ignorant and faulty. He profits more or less according to his docility, but the life of man has a term, whereas that of spirits stretches out into infinity. Question 116. Do any spirits remain forever in the lower ranks? And the answer, no. All become perfect. They change in the course of time. However long may be the process of amendment, for as we have already said, a just and merciful parent cannot condemn his children to eternal banishment. Can you suppose that God, so great, so good, so just, is less kind than you are? Question 117. Does it depend on the spirits themselves to hasten their progress towards perfection? And the answer, certainly, they reach the goal more or less quickly according to the strength of their desire and the degree of their submission to the will of God. Does not a docile child learn faster than the one who is obstinate and idle? Question 118. Can spirits degenerate? And the answer, no. In proportion as they advance, they understand what has retarded their progress. When a spirit has finished with any given trial, he has learned the lesson of that trial and never forgets it. He may remain stationary, but he never degenerates. Question 119. Could God exonerate spirits from the trials which they have to undergo in order to reach the highest rank? And the answer, if they had been created perfect, they would not have merited the enjoyment of the benefits of that perfection. Where would be the merit without the struggle? Besides, the inequality which exists between spirits is necessary to the development of their personality, and moreover, the mission which each spirit accomplishes at each step of his progress is an element of the providential plan for ensuring the harmony of the universe. Kardec adds, since in social life all men may reach the highest post, we may as well ask why the sovereign of a country does not make a general of each of his soldiers, why all the subaltern functionaries are not made heads of departments, why all scholars are not schoolmasters. But there is this difference between the life of the social and the spirit worlds, namely that the first is limited, and does not afford to every one the possibility of raising himself to the highest rank, whereas the second is unlimited and ensures to everyone the possibility of attaining to the supreme degree. Question 120. Do all spirits pass by the road of evil to arrive at good? And the answer, not by the road of evil, but by that of ignorance. Question 121. How is it that some spirits have followed the road of good, and others the road of evil? And the answer, have they not their free will? God has not created any spirits bad. He has created them simple and ignorant, that is to say, possessing an equal aptitude for good and for evil. Those who become bad become so of their own free will. Question 122. How can spirits at their origin, when they have not yet acquired self-consciousness, possess freedom of choice between good and evil? Is there in them any principle, any tendency, which inclines them towards either road rather than towards the other? And the answer, free will is developed in proportion as the spirit acquires the consciousness of himself. Freedom would not exist for the spirit if his choice were solicited by a cause independent of his will. The cause which determines his choice is not in him, but is exterior to him, in the influences to which he voluntarily yields in virtue of the freedom of his will. It is this choice that is represented under the grand figure of the fall of man and of original sin. Some spirits have yielded to temptations, others have withstood it. Follow-up question, whence comes the influences that act upon him? And the answer, from the imperfect spirits who seek to take possession of him and to dominate him, and who are happy to see him succumb. It is this temptation that is allegorically pictured as Satan. Another follow-up question, does this influence act upon a spirit only at its origin? And the answer, it follows him through all the phases of his existence as a spirit, until he has acquired such thorough self-command that evil spirits renounce the attempt to obsess him. There you have it. We start ignorant, without knowledge of good and bad, unable to decipher the right road to follow, until through a series of incarnations we learn, usually the hard way, between good and evil actions. We are told there are no shortcuts, no hidden doors to advancement, except through grueling experiences in body after body. It doesn't end until the last statement in question 122, until he has acquired such thorough self-command that evil spirits renounce the attempt to obsess him. Only through strictly adhering to the dictates of our conscience, never wavering from the golden rule in all circumstances, will we finally be able to be free of trials. Therefore, if you wish to end your financial worries, solve all relationship conundrums, remove all traces of ill health and aging, the answer is before you. Become a calm, upright, honorable port in rough seas. Do not allow your undesirable emotions to get the best of you. Be a friend to all, a mentor to all, and a beacon of light to all. Only thus shall the entirety of your problems dissolve. If you are interested in learning more about Spiritism, please read my book, Spiritism, Everything is Connected. Spiritism ties everything together. It reveals our purpose, our beginnings, our end goal, and the scope of the organization behind it all. Spiritism tells us there are no miracles, only phenomena that we don't yet understand. That miraculous healing, vision of spirits, near-death experiences, and glimpses of the future are all entirely possible given our place in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is dedicated to bring vital messages to us, not via organized religion, which had the tendency to withhold knowledge for their own gain, but to each individual so he or she could determine what path in life they would follow. We must each determine for ourselves whether we continue on to be mere consumers or to learn to balance our spiritual and material needs, so someday we may ascend up and out of the sphere of continual incarnations in a harsh learning environment to become a pure spirit and a contributor to the spirit universe. God bless.